Once again, we're back with Carl Powell, 40 years training, motivating, and entertaining people all over the world. And I do mean all over the world. And Carl, we talk about the pandemic, it's still not really over
Well, not
because
at all.
people are still, kind of one foot in, one foot out. I say get your vaccine and don't even question it. But there are those who still are not fully involved in that. But we still needed to grow during that time, didn't we? And thrive.
Yes.
And not everyone did.
I think on many levels, a lot of people did grow and in ways that they had never expected. The problem with the unemployment employment situation in our country was people were working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, barely making it, didn't know what it looked like. They didn't even know what it felt like to not be underwater.
Right.
And then when they got that government check that allowed them to live above water, they thought, well, why have I been suffering down here all this time? So some people did take that time to learn another skill, grow and grow into another job. So I think a lot of people took that time to grow. On the other hand, there were those people who decided to sit back in the corner and wait for it to be over so they could go back to the way things were. And my question to them would be, in any 2-year period, were things the way they were 2 years ago? They're not. Things change, things evolve. And you have to be okay and move fluidly with the evolution of where things are going, not where things have been. So the
Right.
people who sit around and they're miserable, they're still waiting for the past to come back. Well, let me tell you this, it's not coming back. It's over. All that there is the future. So you get the choice right now to decide, what do I want to do for my future? For me, the pandemic, I feel like I went to college twice because I've learned more in the last 18 months than I learned in college and high school and maybe even traveling. So much for me to learn about how to go online, what camera to use, what microphone to use, how do you advertise to these people, how do you meet people when you can't meet them. Uh, it just was a whole lot of relearning and new learning, which kept my mind so active.
Yeah.
Right now I'm in the process of writing another book and I'm still working on my garden, but as long as you keep moving forward, you're going to be okay. The only time that you're locked in is when you lock yourself in, because the locked in thing, if you don't love yourself enough to be with yourself, then you really need to look even deeper during this pandemic. Because if you miss the lesson was you have to be happy with yourself. So many people in relationships, they're looking for someone greater than them or someone who has more to offer than they have to offer, but they expect that to be an equal share relationship. So I'm saying in this time, you should have been inside, growing, learning something, losing weight, which I haven't done because I eat Brian's cooking all the
And you
time.
posted online, and I'm going, I'm coming over to eat.
Yeah, I think I get more likes on anything, all the posts I put up, more likes on the food than anything, which means people like to eat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. But the thing that you do is you do more than just eat. You also still exercise. You
Oh,
keep
yeah.
your body moving. And you also show a true appreciation for nature and how much it has really become very much a part of your life.
Yeah. The garden, the first time I got a plum tree and it grew this long spike where the leaves were supposed to come out, but it took a month and they're still in there. So every day I come out and I'm waiting for it to open and it doesn't open. So I decided I'm gonna take a razor blade and split it down the middle and open it up myself. And then that leaf died. And I had to sit back and I thought that was my impatience because, that wasn't the way that things were supposed to happen.
Hmm.
So now when one of my plants start to bloom, I'm almost saying, slow down, don't bloom too fast because I really want to enjoy every single part of the bloom, from
Right.
when the flower starts to when it grows. Yeah, so it's taught me a lot of patience, the garden. It's taught me a whole lot about the ability to be fluid and change when things change. I had to learn how to record outside. We have chickens outside and little kids that run up and down the street, but it's a whole lesson. but that lesson kept me in growth. And as long as you stay in growth, you're moving forward. It's the second you stop growing, because when you appreciate your growth, then you can really appreciate your worth, because that's what your worth is. That's why some people don't feel their worth, because they're not growing. And they're sitting there and they're thinking, why me? This is happening to me. But you have to find your own seeds, plant them, and then grow.
You know, I tell people all the time, you mentioned something in just a few minutes ago that really struck home with me about people wanting to get back to the old thing, what they were doing beforehand. And I'm a firm believer that, in fact, I know it's true. We can't even go back and get the last 10 minutes that we just did. We can't go
That's
back
right.
and get the last second. It's done, it's over, move forward. And the old saying, you know, why do you have a small rear view mirror and a great big, front windshield? It's because you want to be able to see forward. And that's how important it is. And as you just said, to continue to grow. So, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the other contacts that you've made, because you were heard nationally all over the country on the Tom Joyner show and, Steve Harvey show and things like that. That also gave that you were able to make an impact on people even when they weren't sitting in a class with you.
It was beautiful. And I got acquainted with Tom Joyner, and I went on, I believe, 7 years of the cruise every single year. And every year it just bloomed into new things. The first year I was timid, I didn't know. And then I met Steve Harvey. And then the more you meet people who you think are great, who think you're great, the more your worth kind of goes up a little bit. And as I did it, because I felt better about myself, I performed at a higher level. Of course, anybody would. But meeting Patti LaBelle and Shaka Khan, and having Susan Taylor from Essence in my class, but not only in my class, but to walk up to me afterwards and say, "You made me feel great." It was the opportunity to have an all-Black class, because all the places that I ever traveled all over the world, I might have had a sprinkle of color, but there weren't a whole lot of Black people in the classes. And when I got on the cruise the first time and I did a hip hop class, I realized I could even use different language because I could just be at home. It was one of the most beautiful experiences, just to be and work with those people and to feel the appreciation and the love. And then to also find that self-love in there, where we all have that voice that plays in the back of your head that says, "I'm not really good enough. I need to do better." And it just quieted that voice down, not completely, but just enough for me to get better. So,
yeah. And you made videos too.
Oh, Lord. I made my first video in 1984. It was called Technical Knockout. And it was about how to technically teach aerobics. Because before there was no technique, people just made stuff up. So I just kind of created a system that I used to teach my instructors, and then I translated that into a video. And then that propelled me to fly all over the world just with the video. That first video, because there was no YouTube. There was no other way for these people to learn other than to bring me there, feed me, pay me, and let me teach their instructors. But it was an amazing thing. Being in Japan, I was there for 6 months. I never had so much sushi in my life. I love sushi though, so it was no problem. But just being there and meeting people, and you learn, like I said, you learn so much about yourself. And when you start to get into the giving mode, the receiving mode, it turns up too. It starts to do this. The more that I give, the more that I receive. And then you realize that really is a true lesson. The more that I have gratitude, the more I will have to be grateful for, because gratitude grows like the garden, like your life. It's all about growth.
It certainly is. Yeah. Well, listen, I think that might be where we're going to stop. Okay. Where you said it's all about growth. Is there anything else you feel like you need to add? You said you're working on a new book.
The most exciting thing I'm doing right now is I'm creating a all-Black well, mostly all Black. I don't want to make it too Black, but I want to do it for people of color because sometimes they don't have the same opportunities to store on Amazon. And so I became an Amazon influencer. And through the influencer program, I get to create my own space, my own Amazon space where I can do live classes. I can do a live interview. Like if you had 5 of your favorite Amazon things, I could call you up right here and we can talk about your favorite 5 Amazon things. But I can let people of color get just a little bit of recognition from what they do. I try to find products from small businesses and Black-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, because it's not exclusive, but I just want to make it inclusive. And so I have my friend Trifina, she's going to be doing makeup and fashion tips. And my friend Kathy in Atlanta, she's going to be doing fitness and nutrition tips. My friend Charles in Chicago, he's going to do Pilates and fitness equipment tips. Ryan's going to do package unboxing and opening up and teaching people how to unbox and put their products together.
That's fantastic.
So it's one of those projects that's gonna take time, but that's what growth is. Just like you can't just cut the palm leaf open and open it up. You gotta wait for the time for it to bloom. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm blooming that. I'm nurturing my book. I'm blooming that. I'm nurturing my relationships with my clients. So I just feel like I'm in a real space where I realize the importance of nurture, because nurture helps you grow and it helps everything grow around you. And when everything around you is growing, you grow with it. So go with the grow. That's my last thing to say.
It's Carl Powell, 40 years training, motivating and entertaining people all over the world. Thank you so much. Good talking.
Okay, you can reach me at carlpowell.com.
I was gonna ask, and what's your social media? Because everybody's got their social things that they need to take care of. So
on Amazon, I'm Healing Garden TV. On Instagram, I'm The Healing Garden Studio. And on Facebook, it's the same, The Healing Garden Studio.
okay, all right.
Okay.
And how about those classes? Are you still teaching them online?
So I'm doing classes online. They're 8 o'clock in the morning for me. So for instance, where you are, it'll be 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm doing those, and I have a community of people that we're building. And again, another thing growing in my house.
Exactly. Well, it's wonderful seeing you. It's been too long.
Yeah, I know.
But I love Zoom. Who knew that even 5 years ago, you said Zoom? No,
Right.
We didn't even know about Zoom.
Yeah.
But it was there waiting for us to create and to be part of, right?
Absolutely. And without it, where would we be?
Exactly.
Yeah. So gratitude to Zoom and Facebook Live and all of those things, because we can be connected without being together. And if we can take the time to connect without being together, we can heal. And that's what the world needs. It's what our hearts need. It's what our bodies need. It's what the whole COVID and Delta thing needs. Love and compassion. If you have enough love and compassion to help yourself and help the people around you, we're going to heal from this.
Very true. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you. All right. See you soon.